Are you ready to take your message, your business, and your life to the next level?
Want to learn from someone with more than a decade of experience, training tens of thousands of people from all around the world?
Hi, Cliff. This is Pauline from Auckland, New Zealand.
John from Calgary, Alberta.
Amy Porterfield.
Michael Hyatt.
Dan here from Dunedin, New Zealand.
Ray Edwards. Mark Mason. Mike Stelzner.
Pat from Smart Passive Income.
It's Darren from Melbourne, Australia.
Now is the time to live the life of your dreams and do the work you feel most called to do in the world.
Welcome to the Cliff Ravenscraft Show.
Here's your host, Cliff Ravenscraft.
That's right, my friends. Welcome to episode number 542 of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. I am your host, Cliff Ravenscraft, and today I'm going to be talking about a problem that I certainly have suffered with on and off again throughout my own journey of building my own online business, and it is a problem that I see consistently with people on through my one-on-one mentoring that I'm working with. It's a recurring theme that comes up, and as you guys may know, I have this thing called the Next Level Mastermind. I have a morning group, a PM group, and in both of these groups, people get into their hot seat. They talk about what some of their obstacles are, their frustrations, and seemingly this topic comes up over and over again. And my guess is that a number of you who are trying to take your business efforts to the next level, whether you have a day job and you're building it on the side and trying to eventually transition out of the day job, or if you're already into this full time, chances are, like me, after I left my day job, I still struggled with this issue. What is the issue? Well, I want to actually tell you the language that I recently heard from one particular member in my AM session of the Mastermind Group. When he got in the hot seat, he said it succinctly, clearly, and in a way that made my jaw drop when I heard these words. He says, Cliff, today I want to talk about an issue that's going on in my business. He says, listen, I realize that I've got way too much activity going on in my business, yet I have very little clarity. I've got way too much activity with little clarity. And as soon as I heard those words, I'm like, okay, I've got to pause for just a moment. I need to write that phrase down because this is a problem that I certainly have faced, and I've never quite spoken it so eloquently and so clearly as to actually what is the root cause of the problem. The root cause, by the way, is that there is little clarity, and as a result of having little clarity, there's seemingly an overwhelming amount of activity or activities or tasks or this ever-growing task list of things that probably should be done that are essential, important, or whatever other stories we tell ourselves about how vital it is that we do all of these things on this list, including every little random thought and idea that comes to us at the shower or while we're at the gym and all these other things. We're just convinced that this is all so important. But the reality is that without clarity, we really don't know how these tasks, all of these to-do items, are going to help us achieve any particular goal because we are not quite clear on what it is we want. Now, I had about a week later, another member of the Next Level Mastermind. This person was in my PM group, the evening group that meets, which mostly is made up of people who still have the day job. And I asked this particular member of the Next Level Mastermind, I said, do you mind if I tell the story of exactly what went down in your hot seat? The going back and forth about the massive to-do list, the going back and forth on whether or not these things are important, and any other details of your hot seat. And I said, hey, if you want, I'm happy to include your name and give you a shout out. If you'd rather be anonymous, I'm happy to not mention your name. But I just wanted to make sure that I have your blessing to tell the story of what happened in your hot seat in a podcast episode. And maybe, who knows, this is a story that I probably will just randomly bring up on stage when I'm at conferences and workshops, talking about this problem of lots of activity with very little clarity about what it is that you exactly want as your outcome. So I do have permission. This individual, she has told me, if you want to, and it just comes out, you can say my name. It's not my intention to say her name. I don't want to, I'm not pointing fingers or anything like that. The reality is that this is not something that is unique to her or her situation. The reality is that I see this week after week after week with the people that I am working with in a mentoring capacity. And again, I want to say for the record, it is something that I have experienced time and time again. I have not been experiencing it lately, but I know this about myself. There seems to be times where this mindset slips in that everything that's on my list, this growing list, or in my case, the growing number of lists that I create over time, that I will sometimes get sucked into doing lots of activity and losing sight of the clarity of exactly what it is I want and how the things on that list fit into exactly what I want. Let me tell the story. I have full permission, and here's what happened. So this person, she had created a PDF document, and before the mastermind call, she said, hey, I'm coming from work. I'm not going to be able to join via the computer, but Cliff, here's a PDF document. I would like you to be able to share this during my hot seat. We use Zoom, and I am able to share screen, and all the members are as well, but she was going to be dialing in via her iPad, and so she wasn't going to have the screen sharing capability to share this document and do everything that she would normally be able to do from the desktop. She says, Cliff, will you be able to share this document? Because what I'd like to do on my hot seat is I'd like to go over this massive list of to-do items that just seems to grow and grow and grow, and I need help, prioritizing this thing. And I said, absolutely, I'll download this, I'll have it prepared. And, we open up our meeting, we do our wins of the week, and then it's this person's turn to go into the hot seat, and I said, hey, take it away. And then what I did, by the way, all of our calls are recorded, and I went back to April 4th and brought up the recording of this particular call, and I transcribed word for word a majority of what she said to open up her hot seat. And I'm going to read these words, and I'm going to tell you I identify with the words that she stated in the opening of her hot seat. My guess is that some of you are going to be thinking, oh my gosh, is he reading my mail? This is exactly the kind of things that are consistently overwhelming my mind. Now, here is word for word. I'm going to read it here the best I can for you. This is what she said to start out her hot seat. She started with, the last 4 weeks have been absolutely crazy with the day job. And it's really been frustrating because I haven't had much time to work on building my own business. With this, part of my challenge has been that I have this never-ending list of things that I should be doing to build my business. And when I do have time to work on it, I just seem to freeze. I freeze because when I look at my list of things to do, I say, well, this is important. And this is important. Oh, and this one is, and that's important. So I end up not doing anything because everything on my list is important. So what ends up happening is I say, well, okay, today I'm going to work on this piece just a little bit. And then tomorrow I'll work on that piece just a little bit. And then at the end of the week, I'm just so frustrated because I've made little strides in a few things, but I never seem to make any big strides in any one thing. And part of it is that I can get stuck inside of my head trying to figure out what is that most important thing. And part of it is just so frustrating because, well, I'm just so busy with the day job right now. But everything seems so important for a different reason. So anyway, I decided to share a PDF document showing just some of the things that come to mind that I know are important. And for me to do in the building of my business, to me, that every single one of these has an importance in their own way. The challenge is that this isn't even all of the things on my to-do list. You see, every time I have an idea, I email myself a reminder to take action on that idea. And I haven't even gone through my list of emails that I've sent to myself to add those to this list. And I know a part of it is that I just need to sit down and prioritize everything. But the bigger question I have right now is, should I be focused on building my tribe? Because now I'm starting to pick up on some engagement with my audience, and there are tasks that are associated with building that tribe and engaging with those people. Or should I be focused on tasks associated with building the products and services that generate revenue? Should I be bouncing between the two, or should I be focusing on just one? And as when it comes to this list, I know it's all important. Everything on my list is important. Okay, that's the end of the quote. Again, that is pretty much transcribed her opening statements, introducing the fact that she wanted to talk about this massive list of to-do items on this PDF document, and she wanted some clarity on how to prioritize this. And when I heard all of this, plus she said some other things, but when I heard all of this, I said, I would like to suggest a challenge to a couple of statements that you've made. And what I did was I challenged this idea, this thought, this belief that everything on that list was important. And when I challenged that thought, she goes, but you don't understand, Cliff. Did you see the list? And I said, I haven't looked at the list yet. But my phone is starting to ring. Anyway, I haven't looked at the list just yet. But just knowing, being the type of person that I am, I'm a list maker. And I don't have just one list like your list. I have multiple lists in different locations. I have lists that are added up inside of my Google Calendar that seemingly get undone, moved off, procrastinated, what do you call that? Postponed till tomorrow, postponed till next week. I've got that list going for me. I have a list inside of Todoist. I have a list inside of Trello. I have lists upon lists upon lists inside of Evernote. And guess what? I even have 38 unread to-do items that are little quote-unquote thoughts that came to me at the gym and various other places inside of a program called what is that called? Drafts on my phone. I've got lists upon lists upon lists. And you know what? At the very moment I think of them, they seem like, oh my gosh, this is the most important thing. Okay, it's not the most important thing right now, but this eventually needs to be the most important thing because this is an amazing idea. And I've got so many of them. And here's what I've learned. Almost none of that stuff is really important unless I have clarity about exactly what it is that I want. And so, I said, I'd love to take just a moment, and I would love to just completely forget about the list that you have. I want you to ignore the fact that that list even exists. Can we do that for just a few moments? I promise you, during your hot seat, we'll come back to your list because I know that you believe right now that everything's important. I said, well, first of all, before we even go off of the list and this idea of everything's important, I said, can you tell me what you believe is the 80-20 principle? And of course, I knew that she knew the 80-20 principle. I don't know very many people who don't know what the 80-20 principle is, but just in case you don't, there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe this is the first time you're being approached with it, but I asked her and she said, yeah, I can tell you the 80-20 principle. And that's where 80% of the results that you get are the result of only 20% of the actions that you take. So basically 20% of the work that you do usually will produce 80% or more of the results that you get. So chances are, if you want to be more productive and spend less time, effort, and energy, find out what those 20%, the 20% of the tasks that you do, and forget about the other 80% and just focus on doing that 20% more. And I said, okay, so you understand that probably, just without even looking at your list, would you say it's fair to say that maybe 80% of that list is unimportant and 20% of it could potentially be all that's necessary for you to achieve your goals, or at least the majority of the outcome and results that you want? But even with that, it's important to forget about the list for just a moment. And so we got to that place, and she agreed we're going to put off the list for a little bit, this PDF document. And I said, okay, now the most important question that I have for you is, what do you want? What do you want? What is your outcome? And I said specifically, I would love to know your business, because this list, everything on it is about building your business. It's about all the things that you should be doing in your business. This business that you're building on the side so that that you want to do. What is your ultimate goal, your outcome? What is the number one thing you most want from your business? And so she started to talk about, well, this is, I said, no, I want to know the most important thing that you want your business to do for you. And she goes, okay, well, not for selfish reasons. And I said, wait a second. I want to know for selfish reasons. I'm going to give you a free pass to be completely selfish. I want to know, what do you selfishly want more than anything else for your business to do for you? What is the one single greatest outcome that you want to achieve as the result of your business? Selfishly. And then we had clarity, because she said, that's easy. I want my business to generate enough income so that I never have to go to the day job ever again in my life. And then we had the answer. Okay, I said, now, okay, that is crystal clear. That is exactly what I need to know. That is the single greatest desire, the outcome that you want as a result of this business that you're building. You want income that will eliminate the need for you to ever do the day job again. I said, are you willing to share with us here in the group what your income in the day job is that needs to be replaced so that you will never what income does your business need to generate on a monthly basis so that you will never have to do the day job again? So question number one, what is the number one thing you want? We found out what that was. So okay, for that to happen so that you would never have to do the day job, we needed to ask question number two, how much money? And I'm just going to throw out a number. I can't remember what hers was off the top of the head. I didn't listen to the rest of the hot seat to go back to it. But let's just pretend it's $8,000 a month. It might have been $8,000. I don't remember. But let's just say it's $8,000 a month. So now she's told us that with crystal clear clarity that my greatest single desire is to generate $8,000 per month every single month consistently in my business, because she's already told me that if I have that, I would never have to step a foot in the day job ever again. All I need is $8,000. Okay? Now, the question is let me ask you this. Is there anything that you can think of off the top of your head that you could do that would generate $8,000 per month of income on a consistent basis? Now, here's the interesting thing. She then stated, I have one idea that just came to my mind. This is the one thing that I know that would do it. And I said, okay, tell me what it is. And then she proceeded to tell me about this course that she wants to create, this online course that people would purchase, that they could go through, and it would help them, it would solve this problem in their business. It would help them have this transformation. And she's like, and I know that I just need to work on building this course. And so all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, I know what I need to do. I know I need to work on this course because she has clarity, which, by the way, remember, it's like, oh my gosh, should I focus on, she says the bigger question right now is, should I be focused on building my tribe? Because there's all kinds of tasks associated with that. Now, remember, she's got a day job that's eating into her nighttime hours. So the amount of time that she has to devote to her business is already limited. This came out in the opening of the hot seat. And so she's asking, should I be engaging with should I be doing all the tasks associated with engaging with my tribe and building that tribe and all of that stuff? Or should I be creating should I be doing the tasks associated with building my products and services, or should I be doing both? Now, the question is do you have the time to do both with your day job severely encroaching upon your evening activities? And the obvious answer for her was no. So it became clear, what do you most want from your business? And here's the thing. A lot of people would tell you, and you may be tempted to believe, that you need a large tribe of loyally engaged audience members to buy your product or service. And that may not be true. It may not be true. By the way, I'm not saying that it's not a valuable thing to have, but I'm just saying that if right now you do not have time to fully engage with that tribe, to build and grow that tribe, you don't even have a product or service to actually sell to that tribe. If they actually develop a relationship where they come to know, like, and trust you, they desperately want to learn from you, but you don't have time for one-on-one with them. You don't have any products or services they can buy from you. And your number one desire and goal is for you to generate $8,000 a month of revenue, but you don't have a place for them to spend a single penny with you yet. It seems clear that with your very limited amount of time that you have during the evening to do a little bit here and there, it might make sense with this new clarity to focus on a task or tasks associated with building the product or service that will generate revenue. So all of a sudden now there's clarity. Now, I want you to imagine what might have been on that list. Knowing that there's she already had the idea that she's eventually going to create a membership program or an online course and other products and services. So you can imagine all the various tasks associated with that might have been on that PDF document. Then on the PDF document, there were probably all sorts of various related tasks to grow the Facebook group, to engage, to do live streams and all this other stuff. So all these different tasks that are on there. But now, just by getting to this place, there's enough clarity to say, oh, well, I can cut out a majority of the things on that PDF document and just focus on the things that are related to building the product or service that's going to generate revenue. I said, okay, great. Now we have a little bit more clarity. We've whittled down the list just to the things that are related to that. But let's talk about this product or service. And this particular member of my Next Level Mastermind has been to the Next Level Workshop. And in the Next Level Workshop, I share a step-by-step framework, a formula, step-by-step. It's an 11-step formula for how to build a profitable and successful and responsible business around your content creation efforts. Now, I knew that she's gone through, and I told her, I said, content is step number 8, but there's step number 1, step number 2, and step number 2 is finding people with money who have a problem that they're willing to pay for, that they're willing to pay to have solved, and it's a problem that you can and you want to solve for them. All right, so that's step number 2, and we've got all of these different steps in there, and one of the steps, step number 7, all the first steps are the first 7 steps, all 7 of them absolutely essential. But step number 7 is validate the product. And I sat there, I said, so you have in your mind, you know exactly what it is you said that you want to do. And she says, yeah. And she says, I'm going to create this online course. And I'm like, great. Have you validated that? And she goes, yeah, I have validated it. And I said, so tell me, what is the product or service? And she says, well, it's this online course that's going to be delivered. They'll go through this many weeks to go through this course that I'm going to create. And it will walk them through this process and it will help them achieve this transformation. And I said, so tell me, how many people have paid you for that information? She goes, well, I haven't created the course yet. I said, but you said that it's been validated, so that means that somebody's paid you money. She goes, well, they haven't paid me money for this, but people who have paid me money and for other things answered a survey, and when I asked them what their greatest frustration is, they indicated things that led to me wanting to create this product or service. I said, but you're telling me that those people have paid you for something else. So whatever it is that they paid you for, that's the product that had been validated. That's the problem that you were solving at the time that had been validated. Now, just because somebody who has paid you money in the past tells you some other problem that they have, and you want to create a solution to solve that problem for them, that new problem is not validated until somebody has paid you money to solve that problem. And then said, wow, that was great. This has been helpful. Thank you. That's validation of a product. And so we got to the place in the hot seat where it's like it became very clear that there has not yet been validation of this particular course that she was ready to go and create. And I said, how long would it take you to create this course? And she goes, given the amount of time that I have available, I would say it's going to take probably the next 60 days. Okay. And so, by the way, I do remember that very distinctly, 60 days, because I said, look, well, let's reframe that and actually state it for what it is. You're telling me it's going to take the next 2 months of your life. Because I want to use the language that it really is. It is not 60 days. It is 2 months of your life. You're already telling me that you're frustrated because the day job is encroaching upon your nighttime hours. There's already a limited amount of time that you have to put towards your business. And here you are ready to spend the next 2 months of your life building an online course that basically is a product that is going to solve a problem that some people have told you that they have as one of their single greatest frustrations, but nobody has ever paid you a penny, proving to you that this is something that people are going to be willing to pay money for. If you could get at least one person to pay you to solve that problem, then I can tell you right now, if there's one person who would pay you to solve that problem, there are other people out there like them. But until you have one person who would be willing to pay for you to solve that problem for them, through one-on-one, through coaching, through this course, or whatever the case may be, then it's not validated. And I said, the problem that you potentially are going to run into is you're going to do what so many other people will do. You're going to go straight into the next 2 months of your life and devote every single minute of free time to creating a product that might not sell to anyone. And I said, is that what you want to do? And she goes, no. I sit there, I said, well, I have an idea for you based upon what your number one outcome is. For your business, you want it to generate $8,000 per month consistently on an ongoing basis. And you believe that the best way to have this happen is to have this course available. Now, obviously, it's going to take time to ramp up, because I knew how much she wants to charge for the course and stuff like that. And it'd take a while for her to get to the place where it would generate the $8,000 per month. But at least what I wanted her to do is to not work on this course until it was validated. And I said, well, I've got a question for you. You know that we use Zoom here for our calls. I said, do you think you could set up a Zoom account for $20 a month? She says, yeah. I said, do you think you could, all of the time, effort, and energy that you would put into creating the slides and recording the video and all of that other stuff where you would spend the next 60 days or 2 months of your life building all of this out in your free time, do you think it's possible that you could simply not do any of that right now? But instead, what you do is decide to go ahead and choose a date, let's just say 3 weeks from now, so that 3 weeks from now, let's just say it's May 15th, which that's actually 4 weeks from now. So May 15th is the launch date of this course, this online course where I'm going to teach you. It's going to be 2 webinars, two classes per week, every week for 6 weeks. So there's going to be a total of 12 modules. All right. And let's just assume that that's what she was planning on building over the next 2 months of her life, right? Well, she's going to put off for the next month. She's not even going to create the first module yet. Instead, what she's going to do is she's going to choose the date for the launch of this course, and she's not going to create any of the content until it gets closer to that launch date. And on the launch date, then she will begin to deliver the course material as it's on the schedule. So basically what will happen is about 2 weeks before the launch of the course, she has the next 2 weeks to do some other things. So here's what I said. Why don't you create a sales page for this online course? All right. And what you want to do is you want to get people to sign up and pay. And I believe she wanted to charge $299 for this course, for the self-study version. And I said, why don't you go ahead and create a sales page? It launches on May 15th. It's going to be delivered live. And basically people can go here to sign up and register right now. So create the sales page. And then once you have the sales page, immediately go to your existing audience that you have right now, your existing tribe, and promote and market with enthusiasm the fact that you've created an online course that's going to be delivered starting May 15th that's going to solve this problem that they told you that they have. So you go to all those people who have given you that survey, who have filled out that survey, told you that this is their problem, and you ask them to pay the $299 to go through the course where you're going to deliver the transformation that they desire. And in essence, you're going to ask them to validate your product that you want to create. Now, for me, what I would do is I would just go ahead just for this quote unquote trial run. And of course, this is where you're going to use this as the basis. You record all of this stuff as you're delivering it over the 6 weeks. And those recordings become the actual course. Now, you can go in and re-record them later once it's been validated and people have given you feedback about different things that you think that you could do to improve it. But at least starting out, you have your first draft of the product. And by the way, first draft of the product means that, people have paid you $299. They've gone through it live with you through the 6 weeks that it was being delivered. They told you it was valuable. That means that you take the recordings of that. Then you can actually convert the sales page. It's not a live course, but now it's a self-study course. And you charge the $299 and people go through it. And now you have your live first draft of this product that has already been validated because people have paid you. And I said, now, do you think you can make it your goal to get 10 people over the next 4 weeks to sign up for this course? She goes, yeah, I think I could do 10 people. And I said, and here's what I personally would do. I would say it's valid for, you need to choose a number of people. Let's just say you don't get 10. How many people in your mind would it take for you to actually say this is validated? Let's just say that that's a minimum of 3 people. So your goal is to have 10 people by May 15th sign up for this 6-week course that you're going to deliver live. However, if 3 people sign up, it's still validated. And you would go through it and deliver this material in the 2 sessions per week for 6 weeks to those 3 people if they were the only 3 people there. The reality is that it's not just those 3 people there. At least those 3 people paid you $299, which means that if there are 3 people who paid you $299, there's lots of other people who would, if they heard about it, knew about it, they came to know, like, and trust you just like those 3 people. There are other people just like this. And this pre-recorded or this recorded version could become the course that you would have at the end of the 6-week process. So, and I said, so let me ask you, what would it take? She goes, well, is 1 okay? Because I would be willing to deliver it just like you said, even if only 1 person signed up. And I said, yeah, 1 person. I believe if 1 person pays you $299 to solve that problem with that product, and at the end of it, they say this was extremely valuable, worth every penny and then some, then that is validation that this was a good product. And yes, and at least you were paid the $300 to do something that has been proven that somebody is willing to pay for. And chances are you're going to do a whole lot more than just 1 person. And in fact, your goal, your absolute essential must that you're going to go for, you're going to task number 1. You're going to choose the date. By the way, And I said this in the hot seat. I said, do you have a pen and a piece of paper in front of you? She says, yes. I said, great. I want you to put at the very top of that piece, I want you to go to a brand new page, and I want you to put my new list. All right? My new list. Task number 1, choose date for the launch of the live training. Okay? Got it. All right. And of course, that's choose all the dates of when those are going to be. Task number 2, create the sales page. Task number 3, market this thing every single day, every opportunity in any way, shape, or form you could possibly market it for the next 4 weeks, so that by the launch on May 15th, you have 10 people who have paid you $299. That's task number 3. Task number 4, sign up for your Zoom call. Task number 5 is begin outlining your sessions, creating your slides and stuff like that so that you can deliver them. And then what you want to do is anything else that is related to communicating to those people what dates and times the sessions are once they're registered, so that they know where to go and where to be at what time, so that they can actually consume the material. And when we were done, she had 6 step-by-step set things to do. By the way, none of which were on the original PDF document. Maybe create an outline for the course might have been on the original document, but none of this new information. And this new information came from the clarity of what exactly is it that I want. I want my business to generate enough money, which for her, I think was $8,000 per month, so that I never have to set foot at the day job ever again. And that clarity came from, do I want to spend the next 60 days or 2 months of my life working on a product that may never sell? Or would I prefer working on a product that has already been proven to sell? By the way, let's just say she had said, well, you know what? I like the idea of having 3 people. I'd feel more comfortable knowing at least 3. I'm going to get 10, but I'd feel comfortable at least if 3 people. And I said, well, if you get anywhere less than 3 people, you get only 1 or 2 people sign up, guess what you could do? May 15th, you refund everybody you refund that 1 or 2 people their money back and say, I really apologize. I thought there would be more interest. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And that's of course when she said, listen, if there's even 1, that'll be enough for me. And I'm like, yeah, at least it's validated. So now we are, more than halfway through the hot seat. And I said, now, do you know exactly what you need to do with those wee evening hours where just that little bit of time you have each night? Do you know exactly what you need to do? She goes, oh my gosh, yes, I know exactly what I need to do. And here's the deal. I said, okay, we still have some time in your hot seat. Let me go ahead and pull up the PDF document. She goes, no need. None of that's important. Did you hear that? She said, no need. None of that stuff is important. Now, opening the hot seat, she goes, listen, every single thing, she says, all of it's important. Everything on that list is important, were the words that she spoke at the open of her hot seat. She was convinced that all that we needed to do during her hot seat was help her to prioritize the list that she already had. But I'm here to tell you that what she had on that list was tons of activity with no clarity. And then by simply asking the question, what exactly do you want? And becoming even a little bit more clear about what would it take for you to get that. And is this the way you want to get it, potentially? Or would you like a little bit more of a guaranteed method of getting that? And once we got clarity about what she wanted and how she wanted to get it, she had absolute clarity on exactly the one thing she needed to do next, the one thing she needed to do after that, and the only one thing she needed to do after that, and the only one thing she needed to do after that. I think at the end of it, she had 5 items, and they were all sequential, and they had to be done in the exact order that we discussed on the call, and none of it was on the original list, and nothing from the original list even matters in the slightest for her to succeed and achieve success in validating and creating a product that is going to help her more quickly and efficiently get to her ultimate goal, her ultimate desire of generating income in her business so that she can ultimately leave the day job forever. My friends, I got to tell you, this was so exciting. And I thank her so much for allowing me to share this story in this podcast. This is something that I've worked with people for years with, over the last several years with. This is something that I have experienced time and time again. Guys, I got to tell you, there are things every day on my calendar. I'm putting things as like, okay, I'm going to block out my time. Today, this past Friday, okay, I want to record the Cliff Ravenscraft show. Guess what didn't happen last Friday? Well, if you guys are getting these episodes right when I release them, I'm recording this episode on Monday, April 16th. And I was supposed to record this on Friday, April 13th. And you know what? On Friday, April 13th, I'm tempted to think, oh my gosh, it is absolutely essential that in my business, the most important thing for me to do is to record episode number, 542 of the Cliff Ravenscraft show. That is absolutely essential. It has to happen. It is absolutely important, until I realized it wasn't. Now, don't get me wrong. I still believe today that consistency is key. I still believe that the best frequency for a podcast is once a week, every week, no more, no less. I still believe firmly that you will get the greatest results if you release an episode at the same day, on the same day of the week, at the same time every week, without fail. Now, I believe all of those things, and I know them to be true, but it's not absolutely hard. It's not carved in stone that I must do those things. And so last Friday, I didn't release or record this episode. I didn't release this episode. I had other things that were on my list, and I chose intentionally to only do one or two things in my business that day. And I did what actually helped me achieve the outcome that I most desired. I did achieve what I most wanted to do last Friday. By the way, what did I most want to do last Friday? It's a great segue, by the way, into what I want to talk about next. And that is the fact that last Friday, did I say Saturday? I can't remember now. But anyway, last Friday, when I was supposed to be recording this podcast episode and all the other things, what did I do Friday that bumped TCRS until Monday? Well, here's what I did. It was on my list to do about 4 or 5 different things on Friday of last week, but I only ended up actually doing one thing outside of my workout. I did my workout, and then I did one other thing. But I spent pretty much all day doing that one other thing. And that one other thing was I went in and made the tickets live for sale for the Free the Dream conference, which, by the way, guess what? It was absolutely essential that happened the week before, until I realized that, wait a second, that's April 6th, and that's Friday, April 6th. That happens to be the day that I'm actually doing my all-day 15-hour training session, that day called the Next Level Workshop. And Saturday is the half day after that. Wait a second. The week before, I said I was going to announce a huge sale on the tickets for the Free the Dream conference on Friday, April 6th. So it was actually the final Friday in March. I announced that on Friday, April 6th, you guys would get a podcast episode. By the way, last week's episode number 541, the original recording actually talked about the fact that I was going to have the tickets were on sale with a very special pricing opportunity that is limited time only. All of the information right there in the podcast episode, in episode 541, because I recorded it on Tuesday, April 3rd. and I was going to release it on Friday, April 6th, which happened to be the same day that I was actually going to be hosting 14 people in the Next Level studio, teaching them how to build an online business. My assumption was that on Thursday, my assumption was that on Thursday of last week, I would have had the time, and I would have done the task of actually adding some additional items to the Free the Dream page. For example, let me go to freethedream.live, which is the sales page, by the way. That's not freethedream.com. It's freethedream.live. And here's what I needed to do. I needed to add a frequently asked questions section to the sales page. For example, where is the event located? The Free the Dream event will be hosted in Liberty Hall, located at the historic factory at Franklin. This 14,400 square foot space is an enchanting environment that will make you never want to attend a conference in a hotel ballroom ever again. It's got the date and the time. Then the next question, what hotel should I stay at? The next section is, what airport should I fly into? Which ticket should I buy, the standard or the VIP? All of that stuff needed to be added to the sales page. And again, I thought that I was going to add all of that information on Thursday the 5th, the day before everybody came here for the Next Level workshop. But then I had all of these tasks associated with getting things prepared for the Next Level workshop. There were some things that I still needed to go shop for, filling the refrigerator with the preferred beverages of my guests that would be here, and snacks, and a bunch of other things that just needed to get done to set things up. And as a result of that, guess what? I said, what is my outcome? What do I most want today? What do I most want to accomplish? What do I most want to achieve? And setting up the Next Level workshop was the most important. And then I realized it became very clear that on Thursday, I was not going to have time to add those very essential sections to the Free the Dream sales page. I didn't have the time to go in and give the very special discount pricing that's available for a limited time only. And I was just going to put that off until the next week. And so what I did is I took episode 541, and I had not yet uploaded it and scheduled it for release. So I went into Adobe Audition, and if you guys listened last week, there was no mention of Free the Dream at all. And the reason why is because I went into Adobe Audition and took out any mention of the Free the Dream pricing in the sales page, because I had assumed that it would be up by the time I released that. It wasn't, so I deleted any and all message. There wasn't a single call to action last week in last week's episode, and that's why. It was originally there, but then it wasn't. Why? Because it wasn't as important as I dreamt up that I thought it had to be. You know, yes, I told you the week before, but guess how many people emailed me and said, hey, Cliff, last week, episode 540, you said in episode 541, you would tell us about the special pricing. And guess how many people emailed me? 0. So was it that essential? Was it that important? No, it wasn't. These things that we keep telling ourselves, we have to do this, we have to do this, most of it is not as important as we really believe that it is. So episode 541 went out without the mention of the sales page. Life went on. The sales page was not updated. Everything was fine. And I had a absolutely amazing session of the Next Level workshop, putting those guys first, serving them, teaching them. It was so incredible. The reactions, the feedback that I've gotten already is just mind-blowingly awesome. And I did what was most important. And by the way, I did a lot less than I had on my list to do. There were many more things on my list outside of updating the Free the Dream page. There were other things on my list that I intentionally did not do. And I make it a habit to intentionally not do things that are on my to-do list, because I only want to be doing the things that are the most important, essential things that help me get closer to the exact outcome that I want. So anyway, I did finally get around to updating that sales page this week, and tickets did go live on this past Friday. So Friday the 13th, which is when this episode should have been recorded. It was on my list to record on Friday the 13th, I spent that day actually updating the Free the Dream page, and it looks amazing. Go to freethedream.live, and by the way, there is special discount pricing. I'm not going to tell you exactly what that pricing is here, because guess what? Some of you are going to hear this podcast episode after the sale price is over. All I can tell you is right now there is an early bird standard ticket price and an early bird VIP price that is available right now. Today is Monday, April 16th, and that ticket price is available until April 30th. Now, if you are hearing this podcast episode before April 30th, then go to freethedream.com, or no, do not go to freethedream.com. Go to freethedream.live, freethedream.live, and click on register now, and you will see the ticket pricing that's there until April 30th. And it is insane, the percentage off that you're going to get. Now, I will tell you that after April 30th, on May 1st, that ticket pricing will never be available again to anyone. All right. However, there will still be some discount on prices. The price will go up as we get closer to the event, but I will tell you the price jump from April 30th to May 1st is significant. So if you are listening to this podcast and you are hearing these episodes as they're being released, you have a limited amount of time to get in at that price that is currently available until April 30th of this year. And by the way, I want to tell you that the VIP tickets are going fast. There's only a total of 35 VIP tickets available to the public, and I think it's 9 of them have already been sold at this point. So if you're looking for a VIP ticket, get the VIP ticket ASAP. The thing is that my guess is that there's a very real possibility that the VIP tickets will sell out by April 30th, especially with the discount that's on them right now. But probably you still have some time to get the standard ticket, which the standard ticket still covers every session of the Free the Dream conference on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There will be a special VIP only session after the VIP dinner on Friday night. But that's just a special additional thing that I'm doing for the VIP. But the main conference, all day Saturday, all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, or the half day on Sunday, you'll get all of the main sessions with the standard ticket. So if you don't get that prior to April 30th, there'll probably still be some tickets available. But May 1st, they'll be significantly higher as well. So Free the Dream Conference, what is it, by the way? Free the Dream. So I want to tell you, you've heard me talk about the Next Level Workshop. This is for people who have wanted to create their own profitable business. If you're trying to build a business on the side, kind of like the person that I talked about just recently here in this episode, she has the day job. She's trying to build the business on the side. And by the way, she has been paid for one-on-one coaching and consulting, just not related to that product, because it is required to be in the Next Level Mastermind. You have to have already been paid some money for the type of service that your business is about, which her business is small business coaching. So she has been paid one-on-one, but this product in and of itself, the problem that it was solving had not yet been validated. But anyway, some people are like her that, hey, I want to build a profitable business so that I can leave the day job. Some people who have already left the day job or maybe lost the day job, and they're building their business and they're struggling. It's the Next Level Workshop, Building an Online Business, is for people who are not yet consistently making a minimum of $10,000 every single month from their thought leadership / coaching / mentoring / teaching / online course creating business. All right. Whether that be one-on-one coaching, group coaching, mentoring, webinars, online courses, it's for people who want to build that kind of business. And the Next Level Workshop, Building an Online Business, that workshop is all about the strategies of to-do. It's the how-to of building your business. It's the step-by-step formula. These are the things you need to do. And this is the order in which you need to do them. It is very much strategy, how to. And by the way, when you go to a conference like Social Media Marketing World, one of my favorite conferences, they have tons of sessions, hundreds of sessions maybe. Maybe that might not be, I don't know. Maybe they do. I know there's like 20 concurrent sessions over 3 days. Anyway, it's a lot of sessions. But social media marketing world, it's a lot of how-to information. So it's how to use market your business with Facebook ads, how to create better YouTube content, it's how-to. A lot of it is how-to. So most of these conferences are how-to. What sets Free the Dream apart from the Next Level Workshop or social media marketing world or a lot of these other entrepreneurial style conferences, Free the Dream is not a how-to conference. The chances are, and what I've learned is that a lot of people know the things that they quote unquote should do in their business. Some of them have been quite schooled on what order they should be doing these things in their business. Free the Dream is for people who know what they should do, but they find themselves struggling to get it done. It's for people who struggle to, it's for those people who have maybe gone to a conference, got all excited about a new formula or process or a strategy for marketing a product or service. They go out and find some success. Chances are they've made a ton of money as a result of it, more money than they ever dreamed possible. But then the next thing you know, for whatever reason, they just don't understand, they end up actually finding their income dwindling right back down to what it was before. What is it that causes that? Free the Dream is for people who are experiencing that and they don't know why. And Free the Dream is for somebody who maybe has this dream of living in a different physical body than the one that they find themselves in today. You know, maybe you actually have an extra 60 pounds around your frame or 100 pounds around your frame that technically shouldn't be there. And your dream is to shed it. And maybe you've actually done some things. You've learned what it takes. You know the how-to, you know the strategy of the move more, eat less. You know, you've read the books on the paleo and the ketogenic and all the other stuff. You know all of these things. You know what needs to be done, but you struggle with the motivation. You struggle with the consistency and the lasting change. Well, Free the Dream is a conference that's designed to help you understand what's going on in your mind. It's basically to help people with their BS problem. And no, I'm not talking about BS like you got a bunch of excuses, although there are a lot of excuses. But the BS problem is what we call the belief system problem. It's what you believe about who you are and what you're worthy to achieve in life, what you're worthy of, what is responsible, what is the right thing for you to do. It's what you believe about who you are and what you're able to achieve. It's about your belief about who you are and what you should achieve, what is right or wrong for you to achieve. This is a conference about belief system. And there's only one other conference that I've ever been to that has this kind of focus, and it's where I actually was inspired to create this event. And it was Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within event. Stephanie and I went to Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within in June of 2016. And my life has never been the same. That was the most profound, just mind-blowing event when it came to insights about how my mind works. I basically learned how to be in control of my emotional state. I learned how to evaluate what I believe about various different things. I discovered what limiting beliefs were holding me back from living the life of my dreams. Not only did I discover what those limiting beliefs were, I was actually given the tools and the techniques and the strategies to discover exactly where those beliefs came from. And then when I was able to evaluate them in light of this very clear revelation, it was like, oh, that's where this belief came from. And then I was able to ask myself, well, is that actually true? And then I'm like, well, no, it's not true. And I'm like, whoa, I have been believing a lie. This limiting belief is not true. And I was able to find a way to replace the limiting beliefs with empowering beliefs that have helped me achieve things that I never dreamed possible before. it is because of all of this that I have literally changed my belief about who I am and what I'm able to achieve in this world. And that, my friends, I am wanting to create that environment for you at Free the Dream. And I encourage you to check out the speakers that are going to be at Free the Dream conference. It's going to be amazing. My wife is going to be speaking. My great friend Ray Edwards, my wonderful business mentor and friend Dan Miller, author of the book 48 Days to the Work You Love. Giovanna Ellison, such an inspirational, motivational individual. My friend Leslie Samuel from Become a Blogger. My friend Daphne Scott, who has been an amazing client of mine, who has actually, it's funny that she's my client, but how many times she's been there to help me. She's got some great insight about things like the big leap. She's been a guest on the show here before. My friend PJ Jonas, who's a homeschool mom, I think, to 8 children, and she and her husband have a family business called Goat Milk Stuff. She's been on nationally syndicated television shows left and right. My friend Aaron Walker is going to talk about, he's going to talk about the mindset. He's going to talk about masterminds. It's going to be amazing. And my friend John C. Morgan, who is recognized around the world as probably the best George W. Bush impersonator. He's an amazing entertainer. This is going to be an incredible event. You will be entertained. You will be educated. You will be encouraged. You will be inspired. Your life will be different if you come to the Free the Dream conference, and you will have the opportunity to come at a drastically reduced cost if you get to freethedream.live by April 30th and buy your tickets. And if you can still get a VIP ticket, I highly encourage you to do so before they're sold out. Until next time, my friends, I encourage you to take everything you do to the next level.